She wasn't supposed to be in that crowded airport. She wasn't supposed to be standing in line with strangers, dragging her designer suitcase, trying not to cry. But there she was, Rebecca Williams, CEO of a billion-dollar tech company, watching the tail of her private jet disappear into the evening sky without her on board. Her driver had taken a wrong turn. Traffic was a mess. And now, after missing the last jet out of Denver, she had no choice but to book a commercial flight like everyone else. Not that she minded flying with regular passengers, she simply hated losing control of her schedule. But she had no idea that missing that jet would lead her to the most unexpected encounter of her life, one that would challenge everything she thought she knew about success, family, and kindness. Before we begin, if you enjoy emotional, inspiring stories that remind us of the good still left in the world, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment below. Your support helps us grow our community of kindness here on your channel name. Rebecca slid into her economy class seat, trying not to look irritated. She wasn't used to tight spaces or the smell of coffee that had clearly been spilled long before boarding. Her assistant wasn't with her. Her laptop had only 11% battery. And somewhere in her mind, she kept replaying the important board meeting she would now be late for. Just as she was settling in, a man approached the seat next to her. He looked exhausted, but not the kind of exhausted that comes from long meetings or overbooked calendars. This was the exhaustion of someone carrying life on his shoulders. He smiled politely. "Excuse me, I think I'm in the window seat." Rebecca moved aside so he could sit. A young girl, maybe 7 or 8, trailed behind him, clutching a stuffed animal with worn-out ears. Her brown hair was tied in 2 uneven braids, and her backpack looked almost bigger than she was. The man helped the girl into her seat, buckled her in, and gave her a reassuring pat. Rebecca glanced at him, tall, early 30s, sleeves rolled up, a simple button-down shirt, calloused hands. The kind of person who worked not for ego or legacy, but because people depended on him. She nodded politely. "Traveling with your daughter?" "Yeah," he said with a soft smile. "Lily and I are heading home. Been a long week." Lily looked up at Rebecca with bright, curious eyes. "Are you a princess?" The question caught Rebecca off guard. She wasn't used to being spoken to so directly, especially by a child. The father laughed quietly. "She just means you look fancy." Rebecca felt a small, unexpected smile tug at her lips. "Well, thank you. But no, I'm not a princess." Lily nodded thoughtfully. "You look like someone important." The man gently hushed her. "All right, sweetheart, let people rest." But Rebecca wasn't annoyed. In fact, she felt strangely humbled. As the plane took off, turbulence shook the cabin. Lily squeezed her father's hand, her little face tightening with fear. He whispered to her, telling her it was okay, that he was right there, that nothing bad was going to happen. Rebecca watched the way he comforted the girl, gentle, patient, reassuring. It reminded her of something she hadn't felt in a long time. Something warm, something real. After a few minutes, Lily relaxed and fell asleep against her father's arm. Only then did Rebecca notice the man's eyes, tired, worried, almost heavy with a story he hadn't told yet. She spoke softly. "She's lucky to have you." He looked surprised, then nodded. "I'm the lucky one." There was a sincerity in his voice she rarely heard in boardrooms. After a moment, he introduced himself. "I'm Daniel." "Rebecca," she replied. A beat of silence passed before she asked the question that had been on her mind. "You look like you've had a long week." Daniel exhaled slowly. "You could say that." And just like that, the story unfolded. Daniel was a single father. His wife had passed away 2 years earlier. Between working 2 jobs, caring for Lily, and trying to stay afloat, life had become a daily battle. The trip they had just taken wasn't a vacation. It was for medical tests. Lily had been having health issues. Nothing was confirmed yet, but the doctors wanted more scans. Rebecca's heart tightened. Suddenly, her missed jet and delayed meeting felt embarrassingly unimportant. "But she doesn't know all that," Daniel added, glancing lovingly at his sleeping daughter. "I try to keep things normal for her. Kids deserve that." Rebecca swallowed hard. "Yes, they do." She looked at his hands again, the calluses, the tiredness. Hands that cooked, carried, cleaned, worked, worried. Hands that held a daughter's world together, even as his own world fell apart. "Do you have family to help you?" she asked. He shook his head. "Just us." Rebecca didn't know what to say. She had everything: wealth, influence, assistance. private jets, and yet she often felt alone. But here was a man with almost nothing, holding on to everything that mattered. For the first time in a long time, she felt small in the best possible way. Human, grounded. About halfway through the flight, turbulence hit again. The lights flickered. People gasped. Lily woke up scared and clung to her father. "Daddy, are we gonna be okay?" Daniel pulled her close. "Of course we are, Peanut. I've got you." Rebecca felt her own heart race, but seeing Daniel's calm steadiness made her breathe easier. Something about him felt solid. Like no matter how stormy the skies got, he'd find a way through. When the turbulence finally passed, Lily settled back down. Daniel brushed a strand of hair from her face, and Rebecca felt a sting behind her eyes. She whispered, "You're doing amazing, truly." He didn't puff up with pride or shrug it off. He simply said, "I'm trying." The honesty of that answer touched her more than any inspirational quote ever could. By the time the plane began its descent, Rebecca knew she had been changed. She didn't fully understand how yet, but the shift was real. Sometimes it takes missing the thing you think you needed most to find the thing your heart was actually missing. As they stood to leave, Daniel struggled to carry Lily's backpack, her stuffed animal, and their small suitcase. Rebecca instinctively reached out. "Let me help." He gave her a grateful nod. Before parting ways at the exit, Lily waved at Rebecca with her stuffed toy. "Bye, Princess Lady." Rebecca laughed softly. "Bye, Lily." Daniel hesitated before speaking. "Thank you for listening. Most people don't." Rebecca felt her chest tighten again. "Thank you for reminding me what really matters." He smiled, then walked away with Lily's hand in his. Rebecca stood still for a moment, breathing deeply. For the first time in years, she felt grounded, human, connected in a way she couldn't explain. Later that night, while riding in the back of a black SUV, her assistant handed her the documents for the next morning's meeting. But Rebecca wasn't thinking about spreadsheets or projections. She was thinking about calloused hands, about uneven braids, about the courage it takes to keep going when life keeps knocking you down. And she made a decision, a quiet, powerful decision that would change things, not just for Daniel and Lily, but for her company and everyone who worked there. A decision to build a new foundation in her company that supported single parents with childcare assistance, flexible hours, and family-first policies. Because kindness wasn't just a feeling, it was action. And sometimes, a missed jet and a stranger in economy class were exactly what it took to remember that. In the end, kindness doesn't always come from grand gestures. Sometimes it comes from listening to a tired father, noticing a child's fear, or realizing that success means nothing if you forget the people who make life worth living. May this story inspire you to slow down, look around, and choose kindness, the kind that changes someone else's day, and maybe your own. Be kind. It matters more than we think.